Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Crowley Redding, and I'm the author of Elon Musk, A Mission to Save the World. Google it, A History of Google. My first picture book is Rescuing the Declaration of Independence, How We Almost Lost the Words That Built America. And my newest book, Chowder Rules, the true story of an epic food fight. I'm so excited to be with you guys today for the very first Bath Book Bash. It's so exciting to be alongside so many interesting authors and to be with you readers, because you're the reason that we sit down and tap away at our computers and go out and investigate the world so that we can come up with some great stories and books for you. So it's so nice to connect with you in this way today. I want to talk to you about a question that I get a lot, which is how do you come up with an idea for a book? And before I was a children's book author, I was a journalist. And when you do journalism for a living, you also read journalism all the time, nonstop. And I've never gotten out of the habit. So I read tons of newspapers, magazines, newsletters. I read fun facts on Twitter. Anywhere I can get information, I'm constantly reading. And I really pay attention for this response inside my head. When I'm reading something and I go, wow, that's interesting. I never knew that. Then I think to myself, I bet there are tons of other people who would find it interesting, who also haven't heard of that. And that's how I know I have found a great idea for a story or for a book. And in the particular case of this book, Rescuing the Declaration of Independence, I visited the Lighthouse Museum in Rockland, Maine. And they had tons of displays that were all labeled with stories. And I was reading the stories and I heard about this man, Stephen Pleasanton, who eventually would be in charge of all the lighthouses in the 1800s. But long before he had lighthouse duty, he did something so incredibly brave. He worked in the State Department, and back then, that's where they stored the original Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, all those important documents that really nail down our laws, our beliefs, and our values as a country. And he received word that the British were coming and they were going to burn down Washington, D.C., which was then called Washington City. So he knew he had to take action to save these documents. And in fact, if he had not, they would have been burnt to a crisp, or worse, captured by the British and used as a joke. So it was really so surprising to hear about that, because I'd never learned about it in my own history classes or my own reading or my own exploration, visiting different historical sites. I had never heard the story. So as soon as I found out, I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to share that with everybody. And so it was super fun bringing Stephen's bravery to life with this picture book. In the case of my new book, Chowder Rules, this is the story of a Maine state lawmaker who loved, and I mean loved clam chowder. And he heard that in New York that they were making their own kind of clam chowder called Manhattan clam chowder, and only this kind had tomatoes in it. And he was outraged. So it was 1939, and he decided, well, what should I do about that? And as a lawmaker, he knew that was something he was very good at, making laws. So he decided he would try to make it a crime to put tomatoes in clam chowder. And when I read his story, it came to me by email. I had subscribed to a history newsletter, and I read about his story, and I couldn't believe it. And not only that, he was a funny man. So the way he talked about this stuff was so funny. Like, he said that when he heard that they were calling it Manhattan clam chowder, he said he knew what he would call it: tomato soup. It's pollution. It's poison. It's a crime against cookery. And I just love the idea of anyone talking this way, talking so passionately, using such colorful language when they were talking about their favorite dish, and especially one that is so important to all of New England. So I knew right then and there I had to research more about what happened in 1939 with Cleveland Sleeper, that is his name, true story, and his fight to save New England clam chowder. One of the interesting things that came out of it was I went to read the newspapers from that time. And that's when I had discovered that he actually went on the radio and debated baseball hero Joe DiMaggio. And I thought that was such an interesting little tidbit, so I was sure to include it. So that's how I come up with my story ideas for books, for blogs, for anything that I think is worth repeating and entertaining people with. And I hope that these tips help you as you look for story ideas and do your research, whether you're writing a writing prompt in school or writing your very own book, which I look forward to reading. So thank you for having me here today, and I hope you enjoy listening to all the other authors. And please reach out to us. Let us know what you think about our books. It helps us make our books even better. See you soon. Bye, everybody.